KBBBL podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my elephant?
What are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Ah!
Why, you little...
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Oh my.
Hello, and welcome to KBBBL podcast, where the extra B is for BYOBB. And what's that extra B for?
Male pattern.
What are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Male pattern bulb.
Why, you
Oh my
little-
god, I'm getting a glitch. Alright,
What
ignore
are
that
you
sound.
doing, Davan?
Oh my god, I need a new soundboard.
Butterfingers.
Male pattern baldness.
That's right. Blame the soundboard. That's right.
Francis, I would say turn your mic up just a little bit.
God. All right, hold on 1 second.
We're back,
well,
folks.
I am your host, the Kissable Fool, and with me, as always, a couple young go-getters. Less than heroic. I don't know about that. We'll debate that during this very show. And with us, as always, Hitler, North Dakota.
Howdy.
How you doing, Hitler?
Excellent.
Francis, of all of us, I'm glad it was you that went with that name. Oh, your audio's chopping up there now, Francis.
All right, try. Well, I just hit the volume up. I'm just taking a second to adjust
There
it.
you go.
How's that?
Yep.
Sounds
Yeah,
fine
good.
now.
All right, we are here to review season 2, episode 2 of The Simpsons, Simpson and Delilah.
Great episode.
Yes, I think we're really hitting their stride now. Like, are we there? Did we arrive to the promised land, fellas? Is it all gravy from here? This feels like The Simpsons.
I think
Just
they're.
about.
Yeah, we're just about. Not quite. There's a few episodes I think after this that aren't quite as funny as this one, but we're definitely seeing the formula more and more ironed out, for sure.
Yeah, I think we're at a point where there's going to be a general baseline of quality that we're not going to dip below, and things should be recognizable as like, even this episode, I can pinpoint it's an early episode, but I couldn't necessarily say that it would be season 1 or 2. Like 3 or 4 wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I thought this one
we're
was
gonna
quite
see
a
lot
bit
of that
later,
blurring.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too,
I know
Davan.
this was like a season 4 episode. I remember this one being like way later in my head, which is funny. But I believe I buy it here too, because like you say,
Yeah.
there are better ones coming. But this feels like The Simpsons to me.
Yeah,
Oops, hold
absolutely.
on. That's
There are
my
a few
bad.
hallmarks of old Simpsons that you can kind of pick out if you're scrutinizing the episode, but they're definitely, yeah, they're hitting their stride big time.
With a cool glass of turnip juice.
Let's have a little sit under the tree, fellas. Hey, how's your epidermis, Baker?
Ha ha ha.
Hey, Baker.
Your
Gonna fall out of my
epidermis is
chair.
showing.
See, the joke is epidermis means hair, so technically it's true. Yeah. My epidermis is okay. My skin though is a little raw. I had 2 tattoos today. I had panther on my thigh, and Davan was saying before the show, I won't show them off this episode. I'll show them off when they're a little more healed and they're not covered in plastic. But I got a panther on my thigh, and then I got the 5th and final session for that big old back tattoo. So maybe a week from
Looks
now,
great.
yeah, I'll show you guys. There's pictures. I'll post it on the KBBL page as well.
There we go.
What do your mild-mannered museum coworkers think of the
You know they're all
excessive
freaks
tattooing?
up in the museum, Francis.
I mean, it's a mix. There's some people that have tattoos. Probably the person that had the most tattoos, aside from myself, recently accepted a new position at a different government site. But she had, they're ram's horns, but they look kind of like devil's horns, like right on her temples and like script across her chest. And,
things.
yeah, so she was punk as hell. I don't think it's something that really bothers any of my coworkers, really. Definitely not their like, different strokes for different folks, right?
Man, you got
The beer
got
that makes the
horny punk
days
girl's phone
fly
number,
by.
Breaker?
We can maybe talk about that later.
The beer that makes the days fly by.
Wonderful stuff.
Beer.
Beer.
Now there's a temporary solution.
Cause of and solution to all of life's problems. What you guys, did you guys BYOBB tonight?
Yeah, Propeller Pilsner, I think. I've been laying off the IPAs a bit. They've been so heavy. I've been drinking like either something like
get heavy
this or
after
like
a while.
Olin's pretty much exclusively the last month or so. Just give me the old gut arrest, I guess.
I suck.
That
I
makes
never
sense.
I never go along with these themes. I'm always like, oh, why are we doing trivia again? Or like, oh, beer. I'm just drinking coffee. I'm sorry, boys. I really do need to pick
Just
up the
stick in the
slack.
mud.
I
Let's
know,
just
I
stick in
know.
the mud, Baker.
Well, I'm like the Barney
out of the
trying
mud.
to get his SATs high before you guys coax me into drinking beer and then just become a total. I'm going to be in the gutter by the end of this podcast with like a rose in my hand, just like, don't cry for me.
Yeah, we need to dedicate an
All
episode
right.
to do shots the whole time and just be fucking licked by the end of it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what there, fellas. Well, how that leads me into my little story here. So I also BYOBB'd. I got the JP
Ooh.
Weisers. Got a bit
Nice.
of the Weisers
I'm
Deluxe,
gonna go. I got some Jameson. I'm just gonna do a quick shot if you're.
All right, there we go. Brandy's joining me
Very
on the
PG
whiskey
podcast.
train.
Well, now I feel bad.
You should, fella. It was just my
Yeah.
birthday.
Oh, I know. Happy
Supposed
birthday.
to be
man.
celebrating. No, I already did celebrate my birthday, so that's the thing. So on my X-Men podcast on Tuesday, she ran a bit long because at some point in the episode, the whiskey started to host the show instead of me.
Okay.
Surprise,
She gets
surprise.
fluffy.
Wow.
Oh man! So like we'd have our X points at the end of the show, and I said my second X point, and then by the time we got to the fourth X point, I had already forgotten that I said the same thing as my second X point. So I said the whole thing again. And Andre's just like, "You said that already," and I'm just like, "No, I didn't." And I just go through the whole thing anyway. And then I woke up
Good
the next
content.
morning, and I'm like, "Oh no, I forgot to say that X point."
Oh crap! I really shouldn't have forgotten to say that X point. Oh crap! I did
know,
say that
man.
X point, but I was drunk.
Twice.
Oh crap! I said
Yeah.
that X point 2 times.
So,
I certainly shouldn't have done that. It's
so this
very
was
hot
the
today.
culprit here. That was the culprit. But we're back on the
Yeah,
horse. Hair of the dog that bit you. Eh?
Yeah.
But introspection. So we have Tar is not a plaything. Says who? The school board? What do they know about Tar?
That's a good
Nothing.
point, right? What do they know
Nothing-
about
nothing
tar?
about Tar. They don't. Do they have Tar class? No, they don't.
This is an interesting one. It's very specific.
Yeah, what was he doing with the Tar? Probably on people's seats or something.
Yeah, because like, does Willie use it
Or they're
to
thinking tar and feathered.
do they? Yeah, do they
Willie
put-
could have been using some Tar.
for like the roof of the building, right? Like asphalt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
very
I mean,
specific.
there's always cartoony being tarred and feathered and that kind of thing, which
Yeah.
is funny because that's
yeah.
like actually very horrible and like burns the shit out of
Oh
you.
yeah, it's a horrific thing to have.
It's like the worst thing you could ever do to somebody.
Abe gets tarred and feathered later on in the show.
Does
doesn't
he?
Yeah, I
Oh
think
my
so.
god!
Yeah, he gets
And
tarred and
the
feathered.
couch gag, they do
It's
an
a good one.
Egyptian dance.
They do.
Yeah, this is probably the best one yet.
They're really starting to pick it up. They figured out that, okay, the couch gag is not just filler, it's actually a funny gag. And beyond that, people look forward to it. They're expecting one.
This was back in the heyday of Paula Abdul walking like an Egyptian.
Yeah.
I
Great
know.
song.
Walk like an Egyptian. And they did. They sure did. Well, you know what? I think
The screams, the humiliation. Ooh, I've never felt so alive.
now it's time for a bakedown.
Ooh, okay. So if anyone's just tuning in or missed the previous episode, and I guess we didn't mention it, we missed an episode last week due to technical difficulties. But
Indeed,
our-
we
our-
tried. We tried
Yeah.
to work it out for a few
Yeah.
minutes there, but she wasn't happening.
Yeah, season 1, episode 1, we decided that we're going to do a bake down for season 2, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
I contest Baker's a better public speaker than I am, talking to the youngins at the museum and whatnot, whereas I just get drunk and ramble on podcasts. So,
hey, I
Not
appreciate the compliment.
untrue facts.
No.
Hey, well,
All
I
entirely
don't
true.
really know you, but yes.
Yes.
So yeah, this episode is, I think, a really clever plot hook to begin, and then I guess the plot hook kind of stays with it. It doesn't fade away. Like I know you pointed out, Francis, that we often will see in The Simpsons. There's an initial storyline that then sequences into the main storyline, and the initial one kind of falls away. This one, the initial, like the trigger of the action is Homer getting hair, but then we see him. I think the real meat of the episode is him becoming an executive vice president, right? So it's the rise and fall of Homer through the corporate ladder. This episode.
This is
Yeah,
a lot of
there's a
story,
little bit.
elements.
It's kind of like that. How did he get the hair? But it's not quite how you see it later in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they get to a point where, say, they need an object or it's an event that dictates the rest of the episode. They have an entire storyline that's unrelated. And you never see it again, just to explain how they got to this one point that's just going to carry on for the rest of the episode. This is kind of like halfway there.
Yeah,
and it's about a lot of heart in this one too, like the older episodes had. It's about Homer discovering his self-worth.
Yeah,
like
really.
that discovery being forced upon him by one Carl.
Yeah, well, we'll get to Carl because it's interesting you say Homer like his self-discovery, because Carl is almost like his voice, for like his conscious or his. We'll get more into it. Yeah,
another great side.
Oh yeah, of course, we'll get more into Carl. But the episode, of course, it begins with just like a lot of Simpsons episodes, the family just watching television. They do that a lot. It's a classic nuclear family 90s activity. They're sitting watching the television.
With the TV trays and everything, man. We all had those TV trays.
Yeah, those little
ripping on
the
them.
metal thing into the bottom there, and oh man, those TV trays. They were tippy. They were tippy.
And there is, of course, an advertisement for this miracle hair restorative drug called Demoxonyl.
Well, first they're watching the what are they watching? Jeopardy? Or is it Wheel of Fortune? Yeah, it's Jeopardy, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Homer just completely flubs.
Okay, the capital of North Dakota is named after what German ruler?
Hitler!
Oh my god, I laughed out loud, fellas. That's one of the funniest jokes of this show so far. Like, that is freaking hilarious. That's the one disagreement I have with your meme picks later, is I would remove one of them and put that gag in probably, because
It got later in the episode, I kind of slipped by me.
And this is the beginning of many great Hitler gags, which I think is pretty commendable, because he's a pretty despicable person, obviously. So it's hard to because there's a fine line.
We should dress the snowman.
Yeah. That is not fine, booby.
That's
the colors of the Italian flag are red, white, and what?
Blue,
Yellow,
orange, red,
white, black, green.
green.
I was right!
I was right.
It's like me podcasting. I just talk over everyone until I get my voice in.
Well, that's how it works, man.
Yeah. But it's great. Homer, of course, like that's not really getting the question. He's just listing off different colors, talking over people.
And Patty and Selma are getting everything right the whole time too, just like calmly.
Yeah, and they're triggered.
Like Patty and Selma are actually pretty smart.
Yeah, and they're getting annoyed at Homer. You can see that they're like, yeah, look at their side eyes.
The side eye.
They hate him so much. Like, I still love that gag from the first episode. Just like, Marge, please. Like, they won't even acknowledge him, even though they're forced to speak to him on the phone.
Yeah. Although sometimes they change their tune. This episode, of course, they start salivating because of.
Oh, indeed, they do change their tune, don't they?
They're watching television, and then this advertisement comes on for Demoxonyl, which I don't know if you guys knew. Interestingly, is based on a real drug that existed called minoxidil. I'd never heard of this before.
Minoxidil.
Minoxidil, yeah.
At most, one thing I don't the reason I have my two little segments there too is like there's a lot of things with every Simpsons episode that if you just look a little deeper, there's the real like they were commenting on real life all the time.
Yeah.
Demoxonyl can help me grow as much or as little hair as I want to.
Just like everybody else.
Just like everybody else.
Everyone else can control the growth of their hair.
Speaking of Homer's hair, this hasn't come up before, but of course Homer's hair shaped like Matt Groening's initials, which is why there's like the curly.
What are you doing?
Well, I never knew that. Is that real?
Yeah, it's real, for real. Yeah, but Homer desperately wants his hair. He's sick of being bald. I think a lot of men relate to that.
Another man in this very episode relates to that, bro.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So Homer, very keen, interested in learning more about this miracle drug. So he visits a doctor at Springfield Mall who sells Demoxonyl. And Davan, of course, stop me if you have any cool sound bites along the way here. But he learns that it costs.
Indeed, I do.
It's an expensive amount. I think even today.
I got one for you right here, Baker. This is this one I would almost slide in to the 3 funniest moments as well. I love this line.
I can't afford that.
Well, we do have a product which is more in your price range. However, I must assure you that any hair growth you experience while using it will be purely coincidental.
Purely coincidental.
It's complete snake oil, and he's admitting it.
He admits it because it's like a sales tactic. He's telling him, like, listen, if you want the real thing, you can't just get one of these cheapo products.
True enough.
And it's $1,000, which I think in Homer's time is obviously very expensive.
That's a lot of money.
Today, that's still pretty expensive for a luxury like product like hair.
It's probably like 3 or 4 times their monthly mortgage payment. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
And Homer, of course, he mentions like, well, like my insurance can't cover that. And this leads to this surreptitious exchange outside of the store where the guy who talks in a really funny voice. I love that guy's voice.
Yeah. I also like how he initially is like, oh, you can't cover this with your health plan, and no health plan in the country covers something so frivolous, just to get it out there in the open. And he's like,
yeah.
$1,000 of all the rip-off, screw job, chip joint. Forget you, pal. Thanks for nothing.
And it's 6 months, is it? 6 months of the formula for
6 months supply,
yeah. So it really is like, you can afford that, but it's like you really have to make a serious choice for somebody in Homer's budget range, like what's important to you, especially when you have kids and a wife to take care of.
It's jumping ahead a little, but I feel like I should follow that sound clip up. With
go ahead.
So I say, forget you, pal. Thanks for nothing. And I storm right out of there.
That's telling him, Homer.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
He showed him.
Yeah, we're not really jumping around because really all that happens is the guy says loudly, "I can't help you," and then he turns up the music and he says, "Meet me outside." Yeah.
Well, isn't that later? I think I got confused. So turns Homer away, then he's complaining about it to the bar. Then Lenny.
No, he doesn't. He never turns him away,
and he goes back.
He never turns him away. He tells him to meet him out back, right? Oh no, that is later.
He can't afford it.
You're right.
And Lenny, the guy's working, just charge it to the company plan.
Charge it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when he does the out loud acting legitimate thing, and then whispers to him. That's my bad. I jumped the gun on that.
No, it's okay. Listen, folks.
This sucks.
Quit complaining, Crumb Dumb.
If I had hair, you wouldn't be calling me that.
Hey, Carl.
They wouldn't. It's funny that they went with another guy named Carl, for this episode.
I mean, it's a good old
Carl with the K is
Joe's name. Carl. I
Carl
think.
With a K. Are they? Oh no, you're right.
Yeah,
Carl
with a
Carlson's
K.
with a C.
And voiced by Harvey Fierstein.
Harvey Fierstein. Yeah, he was in a lot of stuff back in the day.
Besides, you pay money into the insurance fund every week. What do you ever get out of it?
Nothing. Well, that newsletter.
Exactly.
That newsletter.
That newsletter's nice. And of course, we're going to find out Lisa's going to need braces later on. So, there's a couple other benefits to that health program. I guess I don't know if the dental plan falls under that. So yeah, we're getting a little chopped and screwed there, to use a hip hop term. But the end result is Homer gets the Demoxonyl through the kind of illegal or like kind of shady means of
It's insurance fraud.
Yeah, it's insurance fraud essentially.
Yeah,
so
it's insurance fraud.
100% insurance fraud.
Yeah, there's nothing kinda about it. It's just it's illegal.
It's insurance fraud.
Homer,
$1,000.
yeah, which not nothing. It's enough
Well,
money
again, that's
that
how
it'll
we
get
got
noticed.
structured.
Yeah.
Then would be $2,000 because what is just going to stay there after 6 months, or does he have to do it again for another 6 months? They're not very
Well, that's
clear.
yeah. Well, that's
you'd
it.
have to
No, he
keep
would have to
renewing
keep
it, I'm sure.
applying it. It's implied that once you stop taking the formula, your hair just goes away because we see very quickly it just
I
falls
suppose
right
we
out
do
of his
see
hair.
that. Yeah.
Well, it grows in a day and then it loses it in a day. Like that's
Yeah.
insane.
Clearly a miracle
What
drug.
crazy chemical shit is that shit doing? Like that it can grow you a full head of hair in a day, and then you
Davan,
stop taking it, and the next day it's gone.
That's a good
crazy.
question. What is it doing to your body? Are you going to talk about minoxidil a little bit during your segment or?
No, I was gonna go with
Okay.
that for the science segment, but I decided to go with the history segment. So you're welcome to go with the Modoxamil. Minoxidil.
Well, it's fine. All I was
What
going to
else?
say is that here's some side effects of the real hair growth drug, which doesn't work nearly as well as the Simpsons version, of course. So minoxidil causes itching of the eyes, itching to the treated areas of the skin where you're trying to stimulate hair, so you're like your scalp. What else we
Usually
have?
mention some of these as side effects for Demoxonyl too.
Yeah.
I think they just
Rapid
take some of the
heartbeat.
I think
actual.
it was a list of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was, yeah.
lightheadedness, cardiac lesions such as focal necrosis. That doesn't sound good. Of the
Vocal
papillary muscle.
necrosis, your vocal
the
cords
stuff-
rot and die.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
I
what?
think so.
yeah, and then you get acromegaly, which is a disorder that results in excess growth of certain parts of your gums, which is not fun.
Yeah.
So those are all possible side effects. Doesn't sound like something I'd want to roll the dice with. I'd probably just go with the Bruce Willis myself. But yeah,
Depends
Homer
on
gets
how many bumps you got on your head, though. Francis has a fine head.
Yeah.
You probably
Yeah.
got.
I have a fine
I would
bald
have
head.
a. I would.
I've
be
only
not a
had hair and
handsome bald
cornrows like the
head.
last 3-4 years.
So he eventually does get the Demoxydil through the shady deal in the backroom alley with the man that he visited previously. And he applies this stuff to his head. He also gets some other fun gadgets along with it, like a head massager thing.
Thing to
He
hang
has
upside down.
yeah,
with.
it's hilarious. He's like
Gravity
Dracula.
boots? Does he call them gravity boots?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He says it so casually, like you know what they're for. It's like you get this, gravity boots,
Which
6
it's-
months supply of
But
the
again,
drug.
this is
Because-
crazy because
yeah.
Demoxonyl probably costs like $40. So he throws in all these expensive things to get the price up to $1,000 that you don't even need, like
Yeah,
gravity
maybe.
boots and
Like, what, is it
it's
stimulating
such
hair growth
a
because
scam.
your hair is dangling down? Like, what is that? Like, your hair follicles down? Like, how does that help you? It's just so weird. The blood rushing to
I
your head,
know.
I guess.
Like that's what activates the Demoxonyl. It's crazy. This is
Maybe.
crazy. But I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. He's like some kind of bat dangling, or a possum, I guess. Like Bitey that we'll meet later in another
Oh,
episode.
Bitey. I call the little one Bitey.
Yeah, a family of possums. So Homer gets the hair product. He applies it to his hair, and he says, he prays. He
Which is
literally
devoid
prays
of
on
hair
his
at the time.
or his head. Yeah, sorry, I misspoke. Well, I guess he has a little bit of hair on his head, but he applies it to his bald scalp, and he prays to God, like, please God, give a bald guy a break, which I think is actually pretty sad.
It's a good line, though.
Yeah,
it's just like he feels cursed by God.
Bald guy a break. And also the way he prays is very just haphazard too. Just like, dear God, give a bald guy a break. Good night. You know what I mean? Like, no intention of expecting it to work, but he's just like, I'm trying everything. This is my last hope. Right?
He doesn't expect it to work, but he spent $1,000 on it. Well, no, fraud. But
so
crazy.
So he wakes up and he has long, luxurious hair. The episode is called Simpson and Delilah, and it's a reference
talk about that later.
Yeah, but very briefly, I guess we can point out it's a reference to the biblical Samson, right, with his long hair. So Homer, of course, the long hair. Yeah, source of power. And I don't want to spoil that too much. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, he has long hair, and he then runs through the streets, and it's basically a replaying of It's a Wonderful Life, which is, I've actually never seen that movie, but I'm still very familiar with a lot of the major parts of it.
I've seen like half of it. I've
Christmas,
never gotten
everyone!
Yeah.
Christmas!
Yeah. Good morning, so-and-so. Good morning. And he's running through the streets, and then he bumps, Davan, you referenced this, he bumps into another guy who's also got long hair, and there's this great moment where they're like, Demoxonyl!
This thing actually was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was
almost made it to the list.
This episode's great.
He looks kind of like Michael Jackson's character, or I guess he's bald in that. But otherwise,
this one made me happy, fellas, because I felt like we're here. We're through the experimental phase.
Yeah, there was some weightlifting to do. To get to that first season, man. Like, don't get me wrong, they're all
it's still better than most
episodes,
shows.
But yeah, it's
but
fine.
like based on its own. Like we're rating this show
now.
based on itself. Like if we were basing season 1 Simpsons just on general TV, those ratings would have been much higher.
Yeah. So Homer collapses back on the front lawn, rolling in the grass with various, like, it's the cat and the dog. There's no like birds or anything, is there? I can't remember. I know that
the kids come up.
Yeah, they're in flower bed.
Flowers everywhere. There's the cat. Yeah, they're all there.
So bucolic and ideal, just like so. Yeah. Such a picture of happiness, like almost exaggeratedly.
It's funny they're so happy about it too. They're like, "Yay, we don't have to be embarrassed by our bald father anymore." Everyone's perceptions are so skewed by hair in this episode. It's hilarious.
I'm going to talk about that on my segment. Of course. Good. So Homer then goes to work, and very quickly, there's. I think there's a bit of work banter with his coworkers about his new hair, but very quickly, Mr. Burns and Smithers.
Oh no, that work banter's hilarious. We're not skipping over that. First there's this. Oh my god, I keep turning that off because of my glitchy thing. Hold on. All right, here we go.
Look! Good morning, Springfield. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Winfield.
Hey, don't you get a haircut, you hippie!
Good morning, Moe's Tavern. Hi, it's the president.
You know what? I think they gave up on Mr. and Mrs. Winfield too early because that was funny. In the early one, we're like, it's like young Simpson's gonna kill himself. Like,
they're like laughing at him going to kill himself.
Taking his rock for a walk.
They're crazy, man.
That's when you
Homer
mentioned
Simpson. Why you haven't been here in 20 years? Hey, you got rid of the sideburns.
Give me the usual.
The usual.
It fits.
Which is from the 70s. Which is
another thing.
Funny.
I haven't seen this episode in 2 weeks because I watched it in preparation for our episode that got canceled. But he goes to the barber, and there's this great little moment where the guy's like, "I thought like you, what? You're still around?" It's great. He's reading a play.
He recognizes him after like all those years. Homer Simpson. No.
He's any good barber recognizes.
We were talking about that banter. Hold on one sec. I know I got that banter. Where is it?
Well, because speaking of the formula,
hey, there's something different about you, Homer. You lose some weight.
Yeah, you look like you got a tan.
I know what it is. A new tie.
New tie. Is that James Earl Jones? Like, what is going on there? But
that guy. That guy's it's kind of a different guy.
But it's whoever does Hibbert's voice almost.
I think so. I think it is
Hibbert Terry Shearer.
Yeah, it might be Shearer.
What are you doing?
Oh my god, this glitchy thing is making me crazy, fellas. All right.
That's you shaking the soundboard, just like, why, you little.
I know. I'm relaunching. Maybe that'll help.
But yeah, the banter, they've got it down cold. Like we've been talking about how they're perfecting the formula. Once they have Lenny and Carl in the workplace, you have this perfect triangle of Homer, Lenny, and Carl. And their banter is pretty well always funny because both of them are smarter than Homer. Homer's like the dumb boob. But each of them have their foibles too, and neither of them are like geniuses.
Well, no, but I like with Lenny and Carl though is how like, well, they're all lazy workers. Yeah. But Lenny and Carl are actually like competent at their jobs. You know, it's mentioned in the Grimes episode that they both have master's degrees in like nuclear physics. Like, you know what I mean? Homer's still the boob.
They make the point that literally everyone does except for Homer because he showed up the first day.
Yeah.
Like, we all got like degrees and shit, but not Homer. He's the safety inspector.
I mean, he demonstrated to an entire university classroom how a nuclear reactor works. So I think that's some pretty good qualification.
Baker, Baker, nuclear. It's
Oh,
pronounced nuclear.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Nerd.
Nerd.
All right. We're getting sidetracked with that episode.
Oh, it's all right. Simpsons is
keep
all
going,
about
though.
the sidetrack. Yeah, Fanny's just getting shot number 2, keeping up with my whiskey.
Yeah, essentially, after this great little banter and the moment in the barbershop, Homer is scooped up by Smithers and Burns because they spot him in their office looking at their security cameras. There's some great lines with the two of them as well. But essentially, Mr. Burns, because he sees Homer's nice, luxurious head of hair, he's like, ooh, this is a lump of clay that I can mold. Like, he just gets really excited.
Oh, God, I paused.
Because they need to hire a token executive as part of the contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
As part of the union contract, they have to do one promotion.
One promotion,
within somebody.
Yeah.
Which is, I think they don't really want to do.
Who is that young go-getter?
Well, it sort of looks like Homer Simpson, only more dynamic and resourceful.
Simpson, huh?
More dynamic and resourceful. He literally just has hair. It's so funny.
I'm glad you're going to talk about this hair thing, Baker.
Because I don't think this is totally out to lunch. There's a lot of studies.
Nothing.
Let's forget about hair. Let's forget about hair. Just look at aesthetic, beauty, beautiful people. There's a lot of studies. There's a lot of studies that suggest attractive people get treated better and have an easier time in a lot of different walks of life.
Francis and I have been cruising through life.
I know you guys. Whereas me with my goblin face, my
blue hair and your tattoo.
So I remember this when I was actually in. I forget if it was when I was in business admin or when I was in supply chain, but it was sort of like a psychology-esque personality thing in businesses segment. And we had this one part where they were talking about there's 4 or 5 different types of power. Like one of them was obviously, direct power that a supervisor or a leader has over their direct reports, that kind of thing. And a lot of them were a lot more like subtle gray areas. And one of them was something I think was called referent power. And it was your power you have over people because of your likability and your attractiveness and your ability to influence people solely on those factors. But this is documented in the textbook, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it works on Burns.
You know what, Sam, go for it. Sam's not gonna rest until you guys hear the joke. All right, tell them your joke, Sam.
All right, we're getting a joke from
I've heard
Sam,
this joke. The other guys hated it. It was better than I thought it would be. So I'll let you tell it again, Sam. Go ahead and write your joke.
Anyway. Is he just going to type it? I guess, he's got no way for us to
hear it.
All right, well, he's typing out the joke. I'll just continue on with the episode here. Homer is scooped up, and they choose him to be their new junior executive. He is an executive vice president?
He's not a vice president, is he?
I think that's
an executive something or other.
Jeez, I don't know what they call
him. He is an executive. The promotion, it'd be nice if we could get the actual job title for that. But in the meantime,
Homer Simpson, why you haven't been here in 20 years?
Forget that.
We could listen to that one again.
Right.
But in the meantime, one of the first things that they get Homer to do is hire a secretary. Yeah. And I also love when Smithers says, say goodbye to your former friends and, go on to a new and better life. Very funny. Just really on the nose.
Again, nuggets of truth in everything. That's why this show its humor was the best humor, because it's all so real.
Yeah.
It seems so spoofy, but they're actually only a little bit spoofy. And they play themselves up as spoofing more than they are. So they try to distract from how much truth telling they're doing, which is, I think, again, is genius and humble in a strange way. But
I think so. So Homer starts interviewing secretaries. A couple of them are pretty flirtatious.
Is it a secretary? That doesn't give Carl credit. He's totally like a personal assistant plus
I
life
think
coach.
ostensibly, though, he is on paper, that's his job. He's
just a
Yeah,
secretary.
he just is going above and beyond
Yeah,
because
but
he's
it's
only
like-
hiring a
Yeah.
secretary. Carl just does all this extra stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's more like a personal assistant.
I got something to say about that too. Let's talk about that right now. Actually, is Carl only so involved in but with Homer's life because of the hair, and because we know Carl's a gay character.
Yeah,
he's even voiced by a gay person.
Yeah.
So, is he just attracted to Homer because of the hair, and so that's why he's like doing all this extra effort? Like, is even that a comment on the hair?
It's hard
That's what
to
I want
say.
to know, because that's like
No, I'm gonna say no though, because when the hair is gone,
What,
he gives
really?
him the
Still
pep talk
there.
about how
Yeah.
he gives it was never the hair. Pep
Oh,
talk,
that's
remember?
true. That's true. He does. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
but
right.
would he have gotten to know Homer like that before if he hadn't gotten the hair? It's like one of those interesting sort of what ifs. But I agree with.
Well, no, because Homer doesn't. Because it's interesting because Homer doesn't do fuck all. Like Carl gives him these notes. Homer, like aside from giving that one presentation, doesn't really improve in any way. So for him to still be like, "Oh, don't you get it? It was never the hair. It was all you." It's like, what was it? No, everything was.
Yeah, well,
it was the hair.
You
What
told
is it
him
that
to
he
do.
sees
Like,
in Homer?
Homer didn't really accomplish anything, right?
I also think,
No.
although Carl is attracted to Homer and he does kiss him, I don't think Carl is actually like trying to be a home wrecker, and he's well aware that Marge.
No, I don't
is
think
his
so
wife.
either.
Like we see him order a gift for her at one
He
point.
definitely wanted to kiss him.
Yeah, oh
eventually.
yeah, oh yeah. You
And slap his
know,
ass.
it's the you know. I can understand Carl wanted to go in for at least.
But he
a
seems
kiss.
like a pure soul. I don't think he would be a
Yeah.
home wrecker.
I agree. I don't
Yeah,
think he
no,
would
certainly
go
not.
all the way. So yeah, Homer settles on Carl partly because Marge hears him talking to Homer, and she's like, "He sounds good. Hire him." And I think that's because she doesn't want him to hire a woman because
Because
Yeah,
he
well,
kept
even
saying
Beth
how like
tells her they
all
keep
these
making
women just wanted to
mistakes with that.
sleep with me because of my job and or all this stuff, and she's yeah.
Hello, Mr.
He says, "I give
Simpson.
great back rubs to haired executives."
Oh, that voice. And yeah, so we meet Carl.
I'm Carl.
Hello,
Another
Mr. Simpson. I'm Carl.
another remarkable, like, I guess you could say one-shot character. Just appears in this one
I
episode.
don't know if Harvey Firestein ever does another voice on this show. I don't think he does.
Well, he voiced, yeah.
Does he show up again?
I don't know. Maybe.
What are you doing?
Oh my god, this soundboard is making me crazy, fellas. Every time I forget to mute it, that happens. Anyway.
Our fans gotta love that one. So yeah, Carl is the choice, and Carl immediately starts reaming into Homer, not in like a cruel way per se, but he starts he calls him a fraud basically, and says like, "Listen, I know you. Like you're not this guy with your paisley suit." And he reads him right away as like, you were promoted, you were raised up for this, but you don't know what you're really doing. You need help, and I'm gonna help you because I am Carl, and I'm just a really benevolent, awesome character. Or maybe trying to fuck Homer. It's hard to say.
Well, either.
Yeah, he gives Homer the queer eye for the straight guy though, and helps him with a new.
No. Stand naturally, Mr. Simpson. Let it all hang out.
But there, he's like, just be yourself, right?
And then he tells the tailor to conceal it. But you're right, Davan. He's just encouraging Homer to be himself. He's very supportive of Homer and his true self, not like trying to get him to be a fake, pretend.
What are you doing?
Oh my.
All right, we got to put that soundboard to bed, I think. Or at least keep it on mute.
I downloaded 3 different ones in the last week, and they were all just the layout was horrible. So I had to go back to this one, but I don't know. I've even uninstalled and reinstalled this program, and it reinstalls with the same glitch, even though nobody else I know suffers this glitch. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, I'm working on it.
Yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah.
So they improve Homer's wardrobe. And then we mentioned already, Homer forgets Marge and his wedding anniversary. So Carl arranges for a rose and singing telegram delivery, which is quite hilarious too. This guy's just like this thin white guy, and he starts belting it like a Delta blues singer. It's very funny. You are so beautiful.
Hey, look, Baker. That character is not the only white guy who can belt it out like a Delta blues singer. Let me tell you right now.
Oh well, also Tom Waits comes to mind.
This guy.
Few shots of also Tom Waits comes to mind.
Sorry, I'm pregnant. Living on 9th Street. There's Tom Waits. Oh,
yeah. Oh man,
my favorite Christmas song.
Sometimes, yeah.
Tom Waits, my favorite musician ever, probably. And
so
Tom Waits, everybody.
Yeah, he's great. I love Tom Waits. We can talk about him till the cows come home. But just carrying on with the episode, Marge loves this. It really sweeps her off her feet. And of course, Homer's new outfit earns him more respect. So Carl is really helping Homer grow and become a more powerful, effective executive. But there's a great point where Mr. Burns is like, "Oh, this Simpson fellow is increasing, productivity in the plant," and Smithers was like, "Well, actually, it seems to me that all the accidents that he was causing just stopped because he's not there anymore."
He just balanced out. It's like we're just back at zero.
It's like accidents have lowered by the exact amount he's been suspected to be caused. We had the same dip last time he went on vacation, like all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, last time we went on vacation, the same thing happened. That was hilarious.
Homer gets
No, sir. Accidents decreased by exactly the number that Simpson himself is known or suspected to have caused last month, and our output level was just as high during Simpson's last vacation.
Yeah, that's some good stats.
You nailed that
tired
quote, by the way, Francis. You freaking pretty much got that word.
So Homer, trying to get the tartar sauce. He's impressing Burns because
what are you doing?
I'm just gonna ignore that.
Oh my god, you just ignore it.
He's impressing. He's impressing Mr. Burns. He gets the executive bathroom key.
3 cents worth of tartar sauce could save us thousands of man-hours in labor.
Yeah, it's a good point he's making.
Well, and what's funny about this is he ends up being right. I mean, I guess you have Smithers attributing the increase in employee morale to Homer's absence, but
Smithers
the employees do love the tartar sauce.
It's pretty apparent Smithers has it out for Homer, and he's jealous of the attention that Burns is giving Homer. Because, of course, I don't know if they've quite spelled it out yet. I don't think they have. Right now, I think Burns is still, Smithers rather, is still more of just a sycophant. But he's very.
Oh, I think they knew what they were doing by this point.
Yeah, exactly. If they didn't, they're very soon transitioning him to the gay character who has a crush on his boss.
Yeah, they either didn't know for sure, or it just they had to get a foundation there before they could lean into it. You know what I mean?
It's more subtle. There's at least one vaguely gay joke that they've already made, but they're working their way up to the "Hello, Smithers, you're quite good at turning me on."
Which is just as blatant as you can get with it, really.
Yeah, or the one where it's that dream where they fly in through the window. And,
or the very gay character is just "Hey, Waylon."
Yeah, there's a lot of gay Smithers moments to come. But I think right now it's more professional jealousy that's motivating Smithers to dig into Homer's
absolutely
attention away from Mr. Burns.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out where Homer can be tripped up, basically, and by digging through some documents, he finds out that Homer, very creatively filled out the medical insurance forms. He charged it to the company's health plan to keep his brain from freezing, which is honestly a hilarious.
No. Stand natural.
That's not the one I wanted. I have the one you're talking about.
I'm always happy to hear Carl.
Yeah, that voice is so soothing.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of gruff.
I know, right?
It has that weird kind of mix of it's rough but soft.
Oh, I think we skipped this.
And what does my little girl want?
An absence of mood swings and some stability in my life.
Yeah, how about a pony?
Okay.
Okay.
It's so Lisa. Like
Yeah.
Lisa's like super deep and shit all the time, but you can totally distract her with a pony and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like
And
she's
we see
also
that.
very superfluous
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she's a little girl, so it's like she's very
She's a little girl.
conscientious and smart, but she also has those, like moments of frivolity.
God, it's never been this bad. All right.
Yeah. You should probably just ignore that.
But like I am getting to the clip you were on there, Baker.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So,
I got it.
keep brain from freezing.
I want you to weave that patented Simpson magic with my executives. A short speech. Work, you know.
That's not the one. This is
One of your executives has bilked the company insurance plan out of $1,000.
What? Bless his hide to Hades!
Oh, that line too. That could have been in the top 3 funny moments. What? As his I did.
Very classic Burnsy moment.
He'll
So
turn on you in a split second, man. Like Burns don't care.
talk about loyalty, right? So Smithers.
What are you doing?
Yeah, just turn it off for the time being. Smithers with the trump card goes and confronts Burns and basically blows up Homer's spot. And then Carl, like, just going above and beyond, right? Like,
Takes the
He's
bullet.
the best assistant ever.
Yeah, falls on the
he's just like, it was me.
Yeah, takes the blame for Homer's.
Hey, what do you care if this guy's bald?
My reasons are my own.
It's just the way he knows what his voice is like, and he just plays it up even more.
I think it's unrequited love. I think he is one of those characters who like loves Homer and would like to be with him, but also because he loves Homer, knows that the best thing for him is to be with his family.
What are you doing?
You know what I mean?
Oh my God, are you serious? Anyway, yeah.
Well, and the other thing too I like is
that
when
character's a female and they call it the manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah,
like
it's interesting how they flip that.
The character is just there for the benefit of the main character.
Yeah, he really is. He's almost like you might say one-dimensional in some ways, because what kind
He's
of
a manic
ordinary
pixie dream
person
girl.
sacrifices so much for their boss? Like it's kind
and
of
it's short,
wild.
and also the way he takes the bullet and does whatever. Like obviously, the tips he's given Homer, the advice he's given on being executive, like he's supremely overqualified for what he's doing, and then even takes a bullet to get fired. It's like almost like I don't even need this job. Like why am I even here?
Yeah, why is he there? Why isn't he the executive?
Where did he come from and why exactly? It's just like, shouldn't he be like?
But this sort of
Mr. Simpson, did you bring an umbrella today?
No.
Here.
And again, like it's like he gives the guy his
Some
umbrella.
shit is he's like
I
dying.
almost feel like
in the
is
rain.
there an old movie or something or that we're not aware of that this is making a parody of? It's almost
to
like,
say.
especially the umbrella thing, like it's too much, right?
I think it's just like it's a literal representation of all the sacrifices he's made. He's literally giving not the clothes off his back, but like his umbrella, right? Like
Now we see how like truly messed up Smithers is.
You got that big speech in 5 minutes, Simpson, huh? You're not going to hang yourself, are you?
Yikes.
Yeah. And of course, we get that big speech. But first, though, doesn't Bart spill the formula? Is that where we get to the point where Bart?
Yeah, we've got that here. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to tell you 3 things that are going to haunt you for the rest of your days. You ruined your father, you crippled your family, and baldness is hereditary.
It is.
On the female
It is.
Like those 2 first things he tells him are pretty bad too. You've crippled your father and destroyed your family.
A little harsh. A little harsh, I would say.
He's worried about the baldness.
I would say so too. All he did was spill a bottle.
Yeah. So he spills the bottle.
I mean, what was he? He was trying
No,
to
but
put
he
it on
spilled
his
it
face or
not intent. Yeah, he was fucking around with it and he spilled it.
Yeah, it was an accident.
He wanted to grow a beard so he could like buy liquor.
Yeah, he was daydreaming about growing a beard. Classic Bart.
I think it's hilarious that his
he could buy
that his
liquor at
daydream.
16. Because I had a
No,
beard.
but his daydream
It
for
worked for
growing
me.
the beard is a beatnik for some reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not the last time the Simpsons will poke fun at beatniks.
Yes, people in the late 90s and early 2000s, they didn't ask for ID.
Yeah. Well, my first tattoo, I was underage, so that carried over into the 2000s a bit. But Homer, without his hair product, very rapidly loses all of his hair. So that's when we hear Smithers. He's like, "All right, you got that big speech coming up." But Carl actually had his speech good to go. It's a really good speech. And it
I
has a
love
lot
how
of
he
great ideas.
reads Carl's letter in Carl's voice. It's just like Carl's there talking to him. Well, Carl does come back.
Well, and I can't.
You did it because you believed you could, and you still can.
No, I can't. I'm just a big fool.
Oh, no, you're not.
How do you know?
Because my mother taught me never to kiss a fool.
Man, that line is one of the maybe top 10 most memorable lines in Simpsons.
Great.
Like, my mama told me never to kiss a fool. Like, it's up there.
Well, and again, that's why I think it's like unrequited love, because he wanted to kiss Homer, but he also like he doesn't give me the impression that he wants to like take it beyond that. It's just like one of those things where like, oh, you handsome man, you give me a kiss. But
passions were running high at that moment.
Yeah, passions were high.
Desirable and
exactly.
In a lot of ways.
It's a sweet gesture because it's showing him that he's like desirable and has value. But the crowd doesn't see it. Homer having no hair, everyone laughs at him, and they walk.
I got these so many good clips here. Again, more funny moments. I don't know how you whittled this down to 3 memes, Francis, because there were a lot of zingers in this one.
Well, it's because I had to.
A lot of you would think I was crazy if I did this.
He's crazy.
Yet we at this power plant are doing
He
this every
burns
hour
a
of
bill,
every...
and I love how Mr. Burns, no matter how rich he is, if you
super
even
angry.
burn $1, he can't handle it. He's just
Yeah.
like, "You're destroying money. I'm like, money is everything. What are you doing?"
Oh, and also it's hilarious because again, you get the one-dimensionalness of one of these characters, where like he's obviously doing to make a point because he starts off by saying, "You'd say I was crazy if I did this," and that goes completely over his head. Just like, "You're crazy." Like,
it's a bad sign of things to come. The speech,
and then this is another classic.
This bald man has no ideas.
This is a joke. I'm not laughing.
Some nerve telling us how to run the plant. He doesn't even have hair.
Yeah, just
Like, I can't wait to hear what you say about this hair thing.
Yeah.
My God, they're laying it on.
Very briefly.
But anyway, wrap her up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll just wrap it up and then we'll get into that. So Homer's speech about like increasing the economic output of the plant, although it is sound, it just does not reach these executives.
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's written by Carl. It's all by the numbers and makes sense, and that's not what they're after. Oh, there's the big kiss.
Yeah, Burns. Beautiful. Burns, obviously upset, takes Homer to his office. We have this interesting interaction with them where Burns says, like, "All right, I'm not going to fire you," and he shows him pictures of him when he was young and had blonde, curly locks.
He's like captain of the football team and everything, but he's still like gangly and like completely out of shape like Burns, but he's got hair in the football. He's just like,
But then he became bald as a chicken.
Quarterbacks don't need to be as big though, because they got blockers and shit for them, right?
True,
He's gonna be able to throw.
It's true, but it's Burns, Francis.
Throw and run.
He blows away in the wind.
Listen, he was a soldier.
Yeah, as an old man. Yeah, he was in the Hellfish, man. Show some respect.
Oh, come on now. We all know his role in the Hellfish.
So
he wasn't carrying his weight on that team. Abe was carrying him on his back, his broad, beautiful, brave shoulders.
His lush shoulders.
Very lush.
But anyway, yeah, Burns used to have hair that you could set your watch to, but he lost it. Just
Johnny Unitas.
Yeah. he
oh my God, Francis sent a real picture of John. Was that you that sent that real picture of Johnny Unitas?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
it's terrifying.
It was like a
real life
card.
hair.
It was like a football card.
Yeah, man, his real hair was more of a joke than how they portrayed it in The Simpsons. I was just like, oh my God.
We'll talk about that one.
Like, you really could set your watch to that hair.
Yeah, but Burns gives him his old job back. So we're resetting everything back to where it started. Marge lets Homer know that, doesn't matter if Homer can like provide the kids with like the luxuries that they.
She's the best wife, man. He's lucky to have her.
She's just happy to have Homer. And that, his job that he has, they're still able to keep a roof over their heads and provide like food and stuff. And then Marge, to repay the favor, sings Homer, "You are so beautiful."
Are so beautiful to me.
She's so bad at singing.
You are so beautiful
beautiful to me. Can't you see?
But it's very sweet. It's very sweet.
Oh,
though.
she's great.
Lovely romantic gesture, and then we close on that. Another nice little Hallmark episode, but the comedy I think was really good as well. Good mix.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's get into meat and the potatoes.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Is this going to be too obvious?
Well, I have an idea.
And there's a couple other potentials.
I want to give a shout out to another minor one.
Yeah.
Very briefly, I want to point out that the Demoxonyl
you go first,
salesman.
Baker.
The Demoxonyl salesman's pretty funny.
He's quite good.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like the obvious one, let's get out of the way, is Carl.
Yeah, of course. Carl is. We got to talk about the Carl in the room.
Yeah.
He's almost so obvious that we each need to pick another one. I think.
Let's skip him. Yep. Carl's great. He's the star almost of this episode.
Yeah, he's like a supernatural. He's almost like Homer's consciousness, right? Like that's why I think a lot of the weird things about him.
I think that's the umbrella nod.
Exactly.
That's the umbrella nod.
It could be. But he is. He's like Homer's Mary Poppins. He's almost like a larger-than-life, benevolent character who's there to be the voice of Homer's conscience. He's really
Sherry Bobbins, if you will.
Yeah, he's the Sherry Bobbins, or even you might say
Mary Poppins, Sherry Bobbins,
Mr. Bernstrom. Like to Homer, and
So who do you
he's
think?
a great character.
Who do you think, Francis? Who are you gonna give that?
I'm giving it to Smithers in this one. This is a good Smithers.
It is a good Smithers episode.
Because you see the beginning of his I wouldn't say his wanting to do anything for Burns, but also just this jealousy of anybody getting anywhere as close to him. Like you're seeing the budding pieces of that come in so powerfully in later seasons.
And his deviousness. He very rarely questions Burns's plots. He's usually right there with him, helping him.
And you're showing the duality of him. Like normally he's so proper, yes, Mr. Burns, yes, this and that. But when it comes down to it, he's willing to try to do a sleazy way to get back to this guy because, despite his properness, in many episodes they suggest that he has been, an accomplice to murders that Mr. Burns has carried out or hired hitmen for him, supposedly, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or at least they speak as if that's happened. Could just be Mr. Burns' senility, and he's playing along with it.
We've seen him
You're
gas.
seeing that backside of it, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. In one episode, he opens up a suitcase and gasses a person to abduct them. So, he's definitely done some shady shit.
He laughs too when they pass out. He's like,
yeah, it's a maniacal laugh. That's why I think I've mentioned my favorite episode is Homer at the Bat. I love that episode. It has so many great gags.
Wait, is that the one where he's the mascot or the baseball one?
No, that's the one where Mr. Burns gets a bunch of
that's probably my favorite episode too.
It's very funny.
Quote that one to Francis every day, basically.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
it really does.
So we got Carl, we got Smithers, and we got.
Okay, so I could
Demoxonyl
easily
salesman.
give this to Burns, but I've given a sideshow spotlight or two to Mr. Burns already. So I'm gonna go a little off the board here, fellas.
Okay.
Carl Carlson.
Yeah.
Bit of the build up of Carl here.
Yeah.
He becomes a very funny character.
He does, yeah.
They focus on him quite a bit in these newer, forgettable, don't even watch them seasons. But it's good that he's getting some play in those seasons. But
yeah, I see. By the way, Sam is wondering how old Mr. Burns is. That, of course, changes depending on the episode. This episode,
you didn't tell us your jokes, Sam.
Yeah, it's fine. We're already getting. We gotta.
Oh yeah, we're already pretty much over time.
So Sam, next episode, tell us that joke because I am interested, and I want to read it to our guests or our listeners. So I think that's a pretty good choice. Carl Carlson is a great part of the dynamic of Homer's workplace. He's a very funny character. And let's be real, there's not a ton of non-white characters in the show. So hey, it's nice that we have Carl.
Dr. Hibbert, Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Thumbs up from Hitler.
The main ones.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's a perfectly cromulent word.
It is Diggins us all.
Get your hand off my car.
Cromulent moments.
Get your hand off my car. All right.
So after some review of this episode, there is, You said how can I narrow it down to 3? It's hard because like you can't do
It's hard.
5, you can't do 6. There's some good moments. I just have to pick 3. But bring the first one up. What's the first meme there? I'm nature's greatest miracle.
Yeah, this was
I got that clip. I got that clip. I might as well play that because I saved it for your thing.
I am nature's greatest miracle!
He really shouts it.
See, that's the one I would have changed. I love that line, but I didn't find it that funny. I probably would have swapped that out for one of the other ones.
Yeah, well, and also
it's
keep in
not
mind
your
some of these
segment,
aren't
is
like.
it?
Well, and also these aren't necessarily about that exact moment. So I like how easily Homer gets worked up, like how easily influenced he is. But this is also about like the overall relationship between him and Carl. You know what I mean? And this is kind of like a fever point of it, and that's part of what this
it is.
illustrates, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Now,
Carl coaxes that out of him.
This one I 100% agree with.
Yeah, this is pretty funny.
I've been quoting that for 20 years, and you never know what the fuck.
I don't normally quote that one, but I'll say this, Francis. Anytime somebody mentions tartar sauce, I think of The Simpsons. And I also quote really obscure, like, there's some classic quotes that everybody knows, but I also will quote like really specific ones that a lot of people look at and be like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
When someone gets it, you're like,
yeah. So I love that one.
But I start talking about Carl Yastrzemski with the big sideburns. No one knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But
yeah, like that's a good
makes
example.
Sense.
Told you to get rid of those
3 or 4
sideburns.
points on that one. Anyway, and the last one here, none of us can disagree with. It's one of the best Simpsons lines ever. Like,
it's one of the best lines and moments.
You nailed
in the
that
series, and it comes out early. Yeah.
Interesting parallel with the painting behind them too. I never really thought about that. Is that symbolism?
Oh, I didn't see that.
In
Hold
The
on,
Simpsons?
I'm bringing that back. What is it?
It's like Carl standing right next to the sun. It's almost like Homer's. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this one. It's a painting
probably
of
just
a
supposed to
guy.
be like generic
They
office
choose something
wall
on
art, right?
purpose. Oh, maybe.
No, but it's probably supposed to
though.
look generic office wall art.
Still, Carl just gazing deeply into Homer's eyes.
Like their motivational
hyping him
things,
up.
like pride,
Yeah.
motivation. And they
Well,
have those
speaking of
things-
motivational posters, there's the great marriage moment where she's like, "Oh, hang in there, kitty," and then she really reads the date. She's like, like it or not, that cat's been long dead.
It's like 1969 or something like that. The fucking
Yeah.
poster's made.
So those are some good.
Oh my
I would
God.
say this is a pretty memeable episode. There's a lot of good ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, moving on.
I'm just wondering, what's the point? Would it make any difference at all if I never existed?
Probably not. Maybe.
How can we sleep at night when there's so much suffering in the world?
How do we sleep at night, Baker?
Well, we were joking about this earlier. I can't sleep.
We don't, not on your goddamn back.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'm not shaming anyone who does, but personally,
You were totally shaming back sleepers, Baker. Own up to it. Own
I
up to it.
I was maybe a little bit. You're freaks. No,
You're freaks.
Sleep however you want, people. I often sleep on my side and then wake up sleeping on my back.
Sleep Freedom 2023.
We're not just talking about sleep. We're talking about the point of this episode. There's every episode has a different themes beyond just a single one, but I think the core theme of this episode,
and I know you're the guy to get deep with it, Baker.
The core theme, I think, is like how people like beauty or perception of people and how you take in their appearance, how that affects your judgment of them in ways that really doesn't correlate to a person's appearance. I think that this episode is about how people judge other people based on their looks. Homer's judged because he's a bald person, and when he gets hair, it miraculously does all these great things for him. He doesn't really change anything. He just is going to work.
Says it the best. It's just like, it looks like Homer Simpson, but dynamic.
Suddenly
this
change in appearance makes him dynamic.
There's almost this sad underlying theme too, where it's like where Carl gets Homer to believe himself and find all this passion he had inside of him of being like, hey, listen, if you really work at it and you really look inside yourself, you're probably capable of more than you ever thought you were capable of. But then it has this like sad defeatist bit where it's like, but this obsession with attractiveness almost overcomes that, is almost more powerful than
It's a
all the
commentary.
positive stuff you're discovering in yourself. Like it's
It's a
very
real-
cynical almost, right?
It's a
It's a real
commentary on
motivational
society.
message here too, though, for
Yeah.
sure.
It is, but it also it's an indictment of society being too over focused
absolutely.
on things that are superfluous, like beauty, physical beauty, hair, and this is still something that happens today. Like short men that are bald sometimes get judged or what have you, or different beauty standards that exist in different countries. Like if somebody doesn't meet those standards,
women
sometimes will
probably
get
feel
passed
that more
over.
than we do.
Oh yeah, I think so. Big
100%.
time.
Absolutely.
Men
100%.
don't feel the pressure nearly as much, I think, as women do. At least here in Canada, there's a lot of pressure to appear certain ways, value is too much, I think, derived from external appearance. When really we should be looking more like we should be taking Carl's approach, which is that it's the inner value of a person.
Science fraud.
Yeah, well, that wasn't Carl's idea. He took the fall for that. But that raises an interesting.
You know what? This is actually funny. This is like.
Oh, hold on. Yep. Go ahead. I jumped ahead.
This is quick. If anyone's watched Chris Rock's most recent stand-up, this is a bit of an aside, but just talking about like how important looks are and that sort of thing. He talks about how attractive he thinks Beyonce is, and he caps off by saying Beyonce is so attractive that she could have worked at Starbucks and still married Jay-Z. But he was just making a commentary on like how profoundly important that can
There
be
is some truth
in
to
being
that,
successful,
I think.
right?
There are celebrities who sometimes marry just like random non-celebrities because they're very good looking. So there's definitely some truth to that, I think. Yeah. So that's the point. It's kind of a sad point because I don't think that society has changed. If anything, it's kind of gone further in this direction.
I think it's gone.
Obsession.
The internet has made that worse.
Yeah.
In a world where you're constantly observed and people are constantly showing off their best, absolutely.
Yeah, the internet is on computers now, so it definitely has changed. It's changed a lot.
That's
But
slip in there. I like that.
That's another one of my favorite gags when Homer meets Bill Gates. So now, Davan, we heard your segment play. What is
The
your
Greeks
point?
knew it. The Carthaginians knew it. Now you know it.
Now you know it.
And I'm very briefly going to use the washroom, but I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah. Well, I'm just briefly going to talk.
Yes, I am a very good teacher.
Well,
and I can teach you everything.
I'm a very good teacher. Let's get that out of the way right now. I can teach you everything, and I'm about to do that right now. We're going to talk about Samson and Delilah.
Sorry, I just saw Baker go back there. I'm sure there's an actual washroom back there, but it looks like his toilet is just behind that little fucking dressing curtain he has. The way he's like, I gotta.
I know, like Baker's room here has kind of like given me some questions a few times. I've never been in this room of Baker's, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like he's got his little partition there in the back where it's like we would change in all the sexy movies that ladies change behind those partitions because you can, with the light shining, you can see the shadow of the changing.
Where his lingerie selection is. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
Well, that's a good point about Baker's room. We should scrutinize that. But
let's give him shit next time.
It's some shit. So Samson and Delilah. That's all I'm going to talk about. So we talked about Samson, and of course he gets his power from his hair, which so does Homer in this episode. So it's perfectly titled. But in the Old Testament, the central figure of Samson's last love story was Delilah, and she was a Philistine who bribed to entrap Samson, coaxed him into revealing that the secret of his strength was his long hair. So he's giving up his big secret. And then whereupon she took advantage of his confidence to betray him to his enemies. So Delilah, like, is in this episode. Now, is Baker back yet? Hold on now. Is you back yet, Baker? Yeah. So in this episode, is Delilah Demoxonyl? Is Delilah Smithers?
Ooh.
Or is Delilah the very No, it has to be one of those two. It has to be Demoxonyl or Smithers.
Part of me wants
or maybe perhaps his own lack of self-confidence.
Because despite Smithers' attempts to destroy Homer, he doesn't succeed. It happens because Bart spills the shit. If Homer still had hair,
Bart is
Smithers would have been
Delilah.
unsuccessful.
Bart's Delilah.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, I
Bart
didn't
cuts
even think of
Homer's
that.
hair and is because he's Homer's weakness, right? Like he's the hellion son.
Yeah,
that-
he exposes Homer for who he is. Yeah, you're right. Damn, that's genius, Baker.
Yeah.
That's why you're here in this podcast, Baker. You're right. Bart is
sorry, I
Delilah.
missed your discussion of Samson and Delilah. I just had to use the
No, I
thing I
just
did like
explained
about
who
what you
Delilah
explained-
was, and then we talked
Yeah.
about.
I think I like
Baker
though, is, like,
100%
when
has
Carl
a
takes
lot
the
of women
rap.
over.
You're making fun of my like setup, Sam.
No, I think he's complimenting you on your set.
Oh well, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, the blanket
Like,
over there is a little bit of a skew, but otherwise, I think it's pretty clean down here. Some books.
Oh yeah.
I found a neat when Carl covers for Homer. He's like, no, I charged it to my card. Smithers knows it's 100% false, but he can't prove it. But like, he even says, what does it matter to you if this guy has hair or not? So like, he even acknowledges, I know you're bullshitting me, but if you're gonna take the rap, then I mean, fine, whatever. I can't like refute it, right?
Smithers is a hypocrite though, because he do the same thing for Burns. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Carl
Yeah,
is Homer's is Smithers. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
He's even a
Man,
gay man.
There's
You
so
know,
many
it's-
layers to this episode.
Oh yeah, it's
Let's have even more fun.
yeah. All right, I'm in a good spirit for this one. I like.
Oh, is this the
play
this
with
is the
you
quiz?
guys?
Yeah, I'm ready.
No, this is
one.
the who are these obscure characters?
Okay, that's fun too. It's kind of quiz.
That's what I meant, like the contest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this just shouted out then, or?
Yep. Shout out. As soon as you see the image, if you know who this is, give her. Okay, so who
It's
is
some
this?
hard ones last time.
Who is the man on the right?
He's the gun salesman, but I can't remember his name.
But he does a bunch of stuff. He's got to have a name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
he's-
sounds like
He was
Charles
probably something
Bronson.
like comic book.
Yeah.
Probably something like comic book guy. He probably doesn't have a real name, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Davan. Raphael.
Raphael.
I would never have
Raphael.
guessed. I would never have guessed.
Yep.
Interesting.
Raphael.
Yeah,
All right,
I'd
so
kill
you
you.
guys
if
are
I
certainly
could.
more
Yeah, well,
familiar
you
with
don't.
this next one. Who is the guy in the middle?
Don Vittorio.
Yeah, Don Vittorio.
All right, one to Franny.
Yeah, you're too
An
quick.
extra point if you know his last name. Vittorio's his first name. Extra point for grabs here, fellas.
I just know that he speaks in a broken Italian accent. I don't remember his last name.
You bring a great joy to this old Italian stereotype. Time's up. Don Vittorio Maggio.
Of course.
I know, of course,
I
right?
knew
Like,
it was
that's
a
so
T
ridiculous.
word.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So this next one has a bit of layers. Who are these two children?
Oh shoot. Well, I know what they do. I just can't remember their names. again.
Eliza and what's the bark?
You've earned a half point, Frank.
Yeah,
Lester and Eliza.
Lester and
Eliza. Full
Good
point
for
to
you,
Francis.
Franny. You're
Bonus
really good
point.
at these, man.
Bonus point. Who's the guy on the right?
Oh well, that's Myers Jr.
Roger Myers Jr.
Yeah, the inventor.
Yep.
Of,
No, I'm giving that one to
Scratchy's
Baker. Baker didn't
son.
say Rogers, but it's Myers.
Yeah, I
I'm
did
giving
say
that one to
Roger, but I appreciate you
No,
giving me
that's
something.
your point,
Throwing
Baker.
me a bone.
No, that's 2-1, Franny. We got ourselves a match.
He's a pretty fun little character too. He appears in a couple episodes.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Okay, here's a fun one. Who's this character?
Colossus.
Dr. Colossus, yeah.
Dang, Francis. Like I don't know. Wow, man, I
Franny's
don't know
a
where you-
savant when it comes to the Simpsons. So like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even gonna do this podcast
Simpsons
without
pod.
either of you guys. Like, it was either
Yeah.
both of you guys or we weren't gonna.
Well,
do
I have a pretty good Simpsons memory with plots, but I'm not good with I'm not good with the names of people that I
Quotes and characters, and like I'm up here, like you know what I mean. It's just from dozens of rewatches as a child.
Yeah.
If you get the next
I'm
two,
impressed.
you can tie Francis. There's 2 left. And
Okay,
you need
okay.
2 points, Baker.
Well, we'll just do them for fun anyway.
Who is the guy on the right?
Oh, that's
Pyro.
Oh, Pyro.
Yeah. What's his real name though? Doesn't he give his real name, or is he just Pyro?
Does he? I don't
Maybe
think
he's just Pyro.
I think he's
I don't know
just
if he
Pyro.
does.
He's an American Gladiator.
All right, there's one left.
Yeah, I'll
At
say
first I was
Baker,
gonna be
you
like
get-
Axel.
you
like,
get
wait.
pride points if you get this one. All right.
Okay.
Who
I'm just
is-
in good spirits.
Oh
so
wait,
I'm
well,
happy.
you know what? There's actually potentially 2 points up for grabs here.
Okay,
Who's
okay.
this?
Oh, that's the cat burglar. What's his name?
That's 1 point to Baker.
Dig up,
Malloy.
stupid. Malloy, yeah.
Malloy.
Yeah.
Damn, Francis, you're unstoppable.
He really is good at this. I'm impressed. Good job, Francis.
Cousin Dave took him down, but we might need to bring in another guest. Oh
I-
yeah,
I-
next episode, fellas, is the first Treehouse of Horror. Cousin Eamon.
Oh goodness. Okay, yeah,
Sure,
that's
right
a classic. I will say one of my very favorites. I love Edgar Allan Poe, and it's because of that episode.
I love it.
because-
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, Baker.
Yeah, man.
I have
I think-
2 versions of the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe over there, and it's
And
because of this episode.
it's a brilliant one because it's played pretty straight. Like there's some
Oh.
comedy, but they don't really like goofy it up. They just have James.
No,
Earl
it's
Jones
not.
read the
It's
actual
gonna.
poem.
It's not gonna do well on our humor ratings. I think.
Yeah, but it's so atmospheric and cool. But yeah, that's gonna be next week.
Sam finally showed up with his joke, fellas. Okay,
Yeah,
so here you
that
go.
may have to be next.
How do you
week.
get? How do you
Okay.
get to Sesame Street?
Well, I suppose you would have to pull down your pants and let Big Bird show you.
Sam, get out of here!
That's a great
Get out
one.
of here!
That's a
Baker
great one.
was ready for you, bud.
No, because he
was
posted
ready
it.
for
I
you.
saw it in his comment there. So I was just reading it. That's Sam's joke. I was just reading it aloud for our guests. That's all.
Now let's get our ratings. We'll do
Yeah.
our ratings here quick,
Do them
fellas,
real quick.
and then we're done.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna share my little screen. You can see that? No, I didn't bring it in.
Nope.
Yet. All right.
Now
There we
it's
go.
coming up.
There we
Give
go.
it a second. There it is.
All right. So here we are, Simpson and Delilah. See, this is a good one, fellas.
It is, yeah.
So story. I think the story's got layers. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give this one an 8.
Ah, okay. We're doing the 0.5, so I'm tempted to just go with an 8.5. I'll stick with an 8.5.
We're going big on this one. Yeah.
I really like the story for this one.
You know what?
Very, very, very tight. Davin, you classic Davin, gonna revise it.
Well, look, I'm looking at the other 8s. Life on the Fast Lane and Krusty Gets Busted. This one is better. I'm gonna
I
give
do
this one a
think, yeah.
story a 9.
Yeah, okay. I might even jump up. We'll see. I'll leave it at 8.5. for
Francis, story.
He's just gone for the moment, so I
One
guess we'll
second.
just. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Luke
what's
Aaron.
your story rating on here? We got a 9 from me and an 8.5 from Baker.
I think it's a really tight story.
It's so many layers. There's just so many layers to this story.
8 would Baker give it?
Yeah, I gave it an
Baker gave it an 8.5.
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
Oh, Franny, you're such a hard ass.
No, that's fine. That's fine. For Francis, that's a really
listen.
good
But
rating.
there's like when we were like throwing out potential 10s, you just don't know how much I love those episodes. I'm like I have to.
I know it's
Because if I give this a 9, if I
Yeah.
give this a 9, there's episodes that need to be a 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm being conservative.
Yeah, that's fair. Humor. This one's really good. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I love this episode.
89. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'll give this one a probably 6.5. Pretty funny. I think it wasn't like. Yeah, it was funny, but I don't know. I think it was more. I would really enjoy this because of the story and like kind of the themes.
Yeah, I'm right with Baker on a 6.5. It's a funny theme. It was funny throughout, but most of the gags were like chuckles. Like there wasn't a lot of drop out of your seat, laughter, whatever. But like you chuckle throughout the whole thing. There's lots of quips the whole time, right?
All right, I'll bring mine down to a 7. All right, so heart. There's some heart here for sure, and like some deep kind of themes. Heart on this one. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Well, this is not quite a Moaning Lisa, but I do like this episode.
No, it's not a Moaning Lisa.
I'll give this one a 7.5. I do like it a lot for the themes about like beauty, the eye of the beholder, But it also has kind of a pessimistic, sad note that it's like, well, it doesn't matter what you do. You're just going to get judged by how you look.
Like they don't they
Yeah.
don't shine that up at the end. They're just like, so that's how it is.
It's a hard truth of life.
Yeah.
I mean, also you got to take into account that like there's that point, but there's also the point that like Homer is also already grossly underqualified for the job he has.
Yeah.
That he also has no business being an executive. He only got up there because of the hair and the looks.
Or even a safety.
He probably in the end should not be there anyway, hair or not, right? But I mean, I'll give it 7 for the heart. I'm right there with you on it, Davan.
Yeah. The themes are really strong.
And now looking at the average, it ranks high.
Written by
for all of
this
us.
one was directed by Rich Moore, who also directed some other episodes here, like some good ones. Homer's Night Out.
Yeah,
and
which
Rich Moore
interestingly, first episode with Carl Carlson, and then he expands Carl Carlson in this episode. So I wonder if he had a special spot, like a
written by John Beatty, who also worked with Moore before. Interesting. They worked together on Homer's Night Out.
But Beatty also has worked with Silverman, who of course is like
Beatty also wrote
shares.
Bart the Genius.
Yeah.
I wonder if he keeps going. He's been pretty.
I think we're gonna see more VD episodes to come. Just for the interest.
Original air date
that later.
October 18th, 1990. Then we're into the 90s, fellas. The golden era.
Close to Halloween
of the world, you might say.
Halloween's coming up, and then they'll make their fateful decision to do a Treehouse of Horror themed episode
every season.
Well, I don't think they intended originally for it to be every season. It was just such a huge hit.
Oh my God, Sam! Of course we get it. Do you guys get it?
He's just pulling our leg. He's just
all right.
All right.
8, 7.5, and an 8 from Sam. That's pretty strong.
Yeah. Well, strong episode.
Yeah. Well, we're done here, fellas. You know, contact us on. See us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Contact us at kbblpodcast@gmail.com, and we are a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts in that federation, but we're skipping it tonight because we're over time. But look, we'll talk about our other federation members next time.
Yeah, a lot of great content if you guys like X-Men, if you like Star Trek. If you like comedy, if you like pop culture, if you like movies, a lot of great stuff.
If you want to see me get drunk, tune in.
Beyond just this episode.
Oh, fellas,
just come to Eastern Passage any given night.
I'm kidding.
You two would get a kick out of that X-rated episode.
I may have to check it out. I'll check it out. But anyway,
I've seen that. I've seen that up front and personal hundreds of times. I'm fine.
Yeah, you don't need to watch that, Francis.
I do have to take off. So we've done, boys. Another wonderful episode.
Yeah, that was fun, fellas. Next time we'll see you in 1 week's time for Treehouse of Horror, the start of the legacy.
First Treehouse of Horrors, that's a good one.
Oh, the introduction of Kang and Kodos.
I was going to ask you, is this Kang and Kodos one? Yes. This is like
man.
Oh,
yeah, it's a parody of the Twilight Zone episode.
Can't wait.
Oh yeah, it's great. There's the zombie one too. Is the third one, isn't it?
Not the funniest, but it's just so.
Did you raise the dead? Yes, but the car's okay.
Oh my God, the gag where they're looking for brains, and they grab Homer and they knock on his head and walk away.
Yeah.
All
right, we can keep going about this. I gotta get going though, so I'll talk to you boys.
All right, we'll be back. All right, see you later, everybody.
Meet me in the alley in 15 minutes. Come alone.
KBBBL Podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my elephant?